In my Martin Lawrence voice. What's up? What's up? What's
I
up?
said Jerome in the house.
I said you're wrong in the house, so watch your mouth. That's what I'm
Watch
talking
your
about, man.
mouth.
We blowing up. We doing this classic style.
I
This
was
is a
like, you know,
classic interview right here, man. I'm so
thank
excited about having you. I want to welcome you to Stand Up at the House presents
you.
Stand Up Avenue podcast. And we blowing up on Instagram. People gonna be watching these videos. You know what I mean?
They finna do that for real.
Especially when I'm bringing people on as intellectual and talented as you are. You all over
Thank you.
Google. Just to let you guys know, I got a special guest in the house, an incredible author that I've been just screaming to interview. Been knowing her for a while now. Her name is N.R. Wolfe. So make sure that you follow her. I mean, you can Google her. She'll come up right on Google. You can order all her books on Amazon and the whole 9 yards. I mean, because, and it's called The Chronicles of Lennox. That's a series. There you go. I mean, so you are off the chain. Listen, let me tell you, I got to start off by saying your artwork on the book makes me want to buy the book, period. I mean, it's just with the trailer that you put with it, the special effects and all that. You are very, I mean, you're very talented in all
Thank
aspects.
you.
And I know you have a team of people, you know, that work with you, but a lot of this basically came up on your own. So tell us a little bit about it and what's going on and how can we get to it. Tell us about the story, and we're going to learn a little bit more about you. This is your show
This
tonight.
mine.
It's your show.
This
So
mine,
take
Martin
over
Lawrence.
and let me know what's popping. Thank you for everybody that's watching, but let's go ahead and get started. Where you from, and how did you get to the point where you at now? And tell us a little bit about you.
Well, born in DC, raised in Atlanta. Um, spent the majority
ATL.
of, yeah, ATL. I ain't gonna finish that, but ATL. So, raised in Atlanta, went to elementary, all, secondary schools. Got my bachelor's and master's, did it all. Actually, when I came up with the Chronicles of Lennox, I was in the midst between getting ready to go into high school. Let's just say that. So it
Mm-hmm.
started off as a short story. And when I did this, you never think when you're a kid, okay, this is just going to be something major. So it was just a little story. I was a geek. I had a friend, me and her, we would write languages. And, as I got older, life happened. I became an
Mm-hmm.
adult and learned things and had to learn from mistakes. So in the process of learning from those mistakes, I was in a situation of domestic violence. So pulling
Okay.
myself out of, I basically exiled myself from a whole state to stay safe with my family. Um,
Oh.
so when I moved to where I'm at now, it was like just stagnant. I was just stagnant for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been a writer. I've never had an issue coming up with stories. If you knew the catalog of stories that I had is ridiculous. So I've never had an issue in writing stories. But during this time, um, it was just a situation of I'm looking online, you see your old friends on Facebook, you see people doing
Absolutely.
things. And my thing is never a thing of jealousy. I'm happy for anybody that's doing whatever they're doing.
Absolutely.
So this particular person, like I said, we were geeks in high school. We wrote languages. She was the artist. I was the writer. And all of a sudden I noticed, I'm like, wait a minute, she done dropped books. So, she's
Wow.
dropping books. I'm like, and that I was happy for her because she's a creative. She's always been a creative. Very happy for her. But it bothered me because I knew what I was supposed to be and where I should have been, not taking into account everything that had happened, the situation I was going through. You tend to push yourself harder than anybody else could, or you put yourself down more than anybody else could ever put you down. So
Absolutely.
I'll just say that probably 7 years of being stagnant, just stuck in a mode of fear and trying to figure out how to get out that fear.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw her books, I was like, oh my God, she did it. So this was in 2016, April 2016. I remember that morning. That's when I saw her stuff and I got off the phone.
Right.
I just sat there. I'm like, Jesus?
Did it motivate you? I mean, like, did it just
It
hit you, or was it like an epiphany?
it wasn't an epiphany. It hurt. Let's just put it like that. It hurt because I knew where I was supposed to have been.
Mhm.
And I just prayed. I cried and I prayed and I was like, just help me get unstuck. Now, during this time of this prayer, I was actually working on a whole nother series. So it was a
Mhm.
completely different series than
And what
this
was that
one,
series called?
Memoirs of Werewolves.
Okay, okay.
So
Is that
that's
where the name Wolf come from, or is Wolf your last name?
Wolf is my name.
Oh wow! So that's your mating name in the whole nine
That's my
yards.
name.
Wow,
That's my
wow, that's cool that you incorporate your name with everything that you was writing at first. Okay, go ahead.
exactly. So, I prayed that morning. By that evening, I just tell you, when you pray, you better be ready and you better hold on to the reins and hold on to that horse because he finna take off.
But they said be
So,
careful what you pray for, right?
boom. So that night, I didn't, you talk to Jesus, he comes when he want to come and he'll talk to you and give you what you want when he want, if he gonna give it to you.
Right.
That night, he was like, here you go, you're open. And from that night, I was writing nonstop. It was to the point I wasn't sleeping. I was going 2 days at a
Wow.
time, not sleeping. I was like this, Jesus, I just want to go to sleep, Lord. I just want to
Right.
go to sleep. But the characters were that vivid. It was almost as if you go on a vacation and or for somebody that's in war, a reporter that's reporting on war, they're seeing everything that's happening. And that
Mhm.
was the feeling I had. It was like going back and forth between me being different characters to watching everything that was happening. And I was writing and writing. And when I finished the first book, I was like, oh, snap, I did it. Thank you, Jesus, I did it. Thank you for opening me
Wow.
up. And, like I spoke to you before, Jesus like, oh, that's cute. Keep going. So I
No,
kept
I'm just
writing.
I'm just I'm just amazed, and what motivated you to keep writing? Did you let anybody in on reading it before you even thought about publishing it? I mean, what made you write the next series? You know what I mean? Like, or was it just you were so
It didn't
were you
stop.
so intrigued about what you was writing already? You just wanted to move on and keep it moving and keep adding, adding, adding.
It wasn't even a thing of it being about me anymore. It was just that the characters, anybody that is a true writer, that you don't write from yourself. You allow your characters to do whatever it is that they're doing.
Absolutely.
So my characters actually have like, is it like you have life? They had lives. So if I try to doze off, they're like, okay, come on back. We got to get this down. And so within a little up under a year, I had like 12 to 13 books done.
Oh
About
wow.
time 13 to 14 months came around, I had 17 books done. So it
17
was
books?
just
How many
spitting out.
pages? I mean, because a lot of people that don't write and they don't know about how many pages have to be completed or how many acts to a certain book have to be completed before. I mean, how many pages was each book? Were they short stories or
No,
these
these
was
are full
full?
novels. These are full novels.
Oh my
But the
God.
the sci-fi genre, the word count that you normally go by is the minimum that will be expected is between 80 to 85,000. The maximum is 120,000 words. So my count bordered
Wow.
on 100,000, which could come up depending on the format, because Kindle, the pages tend to be way more than paperback and
Mm-hmm.
hardcover. So hardcover can turn out like this one is almost 400 pages.
Wow. And now the
And
first
this is
series
book,
you wrote was called what? Is that on the market right now?
The Chronicles of Lennox's, and
Okay.
that goes back to the story. And that was a talk that I had with one of my friends because, when you pray and you're thinking that I want to do this the way that I want to do it. I'm working on this already. I mean, I got notes. I'm going through history, European history, plagues, and all this other kind of stuff. So I'm ready. I got
Right.
storylines, characters. I got everything down, rolling with
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely.
And so I I talked to a friend of mine. She was like, God is a God of order. So whatever you started first is where you're going to begin first. Because I
Absolutely.
wasn't even thinking about this story. This story was nowhere in my head. And the beautiful part about it is, even though I started writing it young,
Mm-hmm.
with all the experiences that I've been through, everything that I've seen, anything that I've done, some kind of way, it's played out in this novel, in this series.
Now, did your expression? I didn't mean to interrupt. But did your expression come? I mean, were you impressed by the comic books you was reading? Because I know your stories are adventurous and they're like sci-fi and the whole nine yards. Did you incorporate your regular life into that sci-fi universe, or how did that work?
Well, I'm a sci-fi junkie, grew up on Star Wars, Star Trek, Buck Rogers, grew up on all of that. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm a comic book junkie. I have like over 3,000 books. That's not even including
Damn.
how many comic books I have. I don't go to Barnes
Wow.
and Noble anymore because I have a problem. I can't go in there and just come out without nothing.
You gonna be in there all
So,
day. Right, right.
yeah, I'm in there like,
That passion though. That's that passion. Like,
I love reading.
wow.
And
Wow.
the thing is, when I read, the type of genre that I was in love with was actually historical romance. So
Okay.
it's just, I love the story of it. But when I began writing this, it was like certain things that were happening in it. Okay, I had to have a talk because this is not a children's series. It's not for your babies. Don't read it for a bedtime story. Don't do none of that because it's not.
Right. This
Um,
grown ups.
it's
This
very
grown
it's
ups
very
stuff.
grown.
Is
And
it
and I had to have a
would you
talk.
rate it is I mean like is rated RR or is rated R? I mean it's just got real life stuff in it. Like it has
It
real
has
stories
stuff
that can
that
relate
you would
in an adult way.
yeah, it has stuff that you won't want to see in the news, that type
Right.
of stuff. And as each book continues, I started to notice it got worse and worse. So I'm like, Lord, I prayed about this. This don't feel biblical right now. And it got
Right.
to the point where I was getting ready to pull back from the story and started doing what I wanted to and limiting what my characters were doing. And I was like, I can't do that because it's
Mhm.
not mine.
No,
So,
it's I mean it's definitely the character. I mean I write also. I
mhm,
don't know if you can relate to this, but sometimes you can't feel guilty for what you're writing. Because
no,
when you start letting the characters go for themselves and they start creating that body of story around and creating the different environments, creating the personalities,
yeah,
even to the cadence to where you can kind of hear the characters talking, you can't go
yes,
against that. So did you just drop all that feeling guilty about it and just went for it? Is that what you did?
yeah, yeah. It was still that mode of like, are you sure you want to put this? And it after that, it was probably like not even an hour of like resistance. I was like, just
Hmm.
forget it because everything. When I write, I listen to music too, so that's why I'm not a person that could ever really have writer's block.
Interesting.
So
Interesting. I heard
anything
somebody just
from
commented earlier about writer's block. They said you don't have writer's block, you have writer's flood.
exactly
Is that what you're
it,
saying? So that's just a flood of ideas and the
yes,
just rushing at you at once and you
and
just like bam 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 bam.
you have to get it down. And when I tell you
Hmm.
my typing speed was like it was mechanical, I was like, oh my God, wait a minute. And I would have to stop a song because like a lot of my action scenes is heavy metal or rock because I just
Ah.
love the feeling of like you got carnage and you got fight scenes and you got
Hmm.
shooting and explosions. So you have that going on. So it's like, oh God, I can see this and the images are coming so fast and I can't type it. I'm like, I can't get this down fast enough. So I would have to pause the music so that I
Hmm.
could get down the last 10 pages and then press play. And then it's like, it awakens back up and it starts from where I stopped at. So
Right,
it's like,
right. So what artists would you listen to? I mean, just like because I write a lot,
Kiss,
but okay, okay.
Linkin Park,
Hmm.
Godsmack.
You ever heard of
Um,
Tessa?
who?
Is it Tessa or I think is you remember the rock group Tessa? I remember
I
Bodyguard
think I
from
know
years
who you're
ago, but they
talking
got
about.
some yeah,
I
they
think
from
I know who you're
old
talking about.
80s rock group. Okay, so you
Oh
really
my
listen
God!
to
I pulled up Russian rock. I
oh
had
wow.
Korean rock. I had like different countries and the '80s. I even went back to Wham. So it was like,
Nice.
so it's like whatever the scene called for.
Hmm.
I know, and it's crazy because I know what songs was playing when I read the book because
Right on.
it starts all over again, and that's one of the things like for the series for me. Um, I have such a love for this series, and I spoke to you a little bit about it as far as turning it into a series where people can see for a network or a streaming service or something like that, because I want this to be different in sci-fi to the point where, you know how you see the sci-fi shows, you have the regular orchestrated music. I don't want that. I
Yeah.
want the music where you have the new up and coming artists that, you know, you have that rock, you have that rap, you have that whatever the scene or the setting
Right.
needs. I want that to play. I want that different sound. I
So you
don't
just want
want
a
the static.
mixture of all kind of genres. Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
as
Yeah.
far as
That's,
music,
I
but
mean,
it
that
has
is
to
so
apply.
interesting. That is so interesting. And you know, the thing about it is when I think about you, I think of the lady who the original writer of The Matrix, you know, and
I've heard that.
which was a black lady
Yeah.
that wrote it. And it's not that many urban women out there that are writing that kind of sci-fi or you know those kind of action stories or comic book stories. I mean, I would say you're a rarity. You know what I mean? So like
Thank you.
do you pull from motivation from other writers and like when you're watching these comic book series or you're watching just say Black Lightning or you're watching
No,
an action pack, I mean do you pull from that or
no, I don't want to. I don't want to. What I pull from is this series is, even though it has a sci-fi foundation, it's a life setting. So anything that you would see happening now is just happening in a sci-fi setting in a different
hmm
time. So I don't, and I'm very funny about that. I have a little god sister, and she just sent me a text the other day. She probably kill me if she's watching this, but
hmm
her boyfriend, he's a writer, and he wants me to read like a couple of chapters. I don't read anybody's book because I just don't want to. Even the books that I bought, and I've read all but probably 20 of the books that I have. That's over 3,000.
wow
But I don't
wow
read them anymore because
right
I don't want it influencing me in any kind of way. And
because you want to be as original as possible, right?
yes, and I don't want any issue with anybody coming up later talking about something. Oh, that's mine, and she read mine, and no, I
Right,
did not.
right.
So and it's crazy because I'm a publisher too. So, but the way I
Yeah,
feel
that's
about
what
it,
I find interesting. I don't mean to cut you off, but that's what because I mean, I'm so excited because I mean, you got so much. Because we're going to do a questionnaire in a
okay.
minute for the people who are watching. They're going to be able to ask questions. You're going to be able to answer, and that's going to be conversation within itself. But the fact that you are your own publisher
Hmm.
instead of you going to any big publishing firm in New York or LA or what have you, you pretty much explain to the audience how do you become your own publisher? I mean, how did that all come about for you to distribute your own books like that?
It's terrifying, but because I don't believe in sharing with nobody that didn't put in on nothing, that's
I
what
know
made
that's
me
right.
go ahead and become a publisher for myself. If you
I
didn't
know
put in
that's
no
right.
time, no motivation, no, you could do this, girl, yay. If you didn't do none of that, I'm not trying to give you no money. And now that's not to say that this wasn't stuff that I researched as my books were going along. I was looking at querying
Mhm.
publishing houses, literary agencies to get to publishing houses. And then doing more research, the thing is, I like my characters because my main character is a Black woman. And one of the
Right,
things that you end up having when you go to these traditional publishing houses, they will take your story, give you that advance. You don't get no more money until you start selling books. So keep that in mind.
right.
And they change the
What is the
story.
time frame between getting that advance and the books being distributed and you making money from the books? What is that gap?
The the funny thing about that gap is you're still working as if you're doing it yourself.
Right.
They're sticking in like marketing money, stuff like that. But overall, you're still doing the footwork.
hmm
So if I got
hmm
to do the footwork, why can't I keep the whole check?
I don't blame you. I don't
So
blame you.
that was one of the things I looked at. Now, is that to say somewhere in the future that if a traditional publishing house came along, like, look, we want to pick up your series? No, I don't have a problem with that. This is why. Because I've already set the narrative for my characters of what I want them to look
Absolutely.
like. So it will be difficult to pull away from the characters of what they are. So you set up your own narrative, you make it what you want it to be, and you keep it moving. No, I didn't do no self-publishing company because that's what a lot of people believe when you say you're a publisher,
hmm
especially if you're indie or if you're a smaller publisher. No, I don't do
Absolutely.
self-publishing. And
hmm
one of the reasons why is because I went on to one of the self-publishing companies because I'm like, this is going to be a lot of work if I do it myself. And like I told you, I'm about the money.
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely.
I went to the section
Absolutely.
where they had like the royalty calculator. So I just did an estimate. If I did a Kindle book for $13.99, they
Hmm.
told me my royalty was going to be 8 cents. I said,
Wow.
no, it won't.
That's
No,
ridiculous.
it won't.
Eight
So
cent. I mean, what are they
eight,
putting you on
eight,
billboards and all over the
zero,
8 cent on each book? No, that's
eight
ridiculous.
cent. Exactly. What am I
Mm,
going to do with 8 cents?
right.
So that was definitely a no. And it's not, it's a constant learning situation. I'm going to make
Hmm.
mistakes. But the long-term thing is that it's worth it because
Yeah.
I purchased my own ISBN, my own units. I the covers of the books. I contracted with a company that do award-winning covers. That same company did my trailer, and the trailer that they did for me
The
was
trailer
to
is
the extreme.
amazing. I have to
So
say, the trailer is amazing. The
I
trailer, I mean,
love
from the front to back, I mean, like, I was like, it's like I was watching, it's like I was sitting in a movie theater
uh-huh.
watching this trailer. It's like it made me excited to see it. Like, look, this got to happen. This got to turn into a series for you. I mean, and the
Yeah.
way that you're doing it, you're doing it masterpiece style though. Like you really like you like damn that I'm gonna own my own masters. I'm gonna own my own,
You have to.
everything.
You
Like
have
yeah.
to because I think a lot of folks is, and it's nothing wrong with going with traditional
Hmm.
publishing houses because some people are, don't get me wrong, I'm not rich. So some people are in the position where they need that money right now. And that
Hmm.
helps, whether it be 5,000 or $12,000. That's everything to a lot of people. My
Absolutely.
thing is that I look at the short term and I'm like, that could pay a couple of bills and ain't gonna pay like one bill off.
Right.
I could probably, do a trip for business or something like that.
Hmm.
But in the long term, I need for people to understand when they're writing books, they need to take ownership of what's theirs. Don't think of it as, oh, it's just a book. If you
100%.
can't think of what you're doing beyond it being a book,
Hmm.
then why are you doing it?
Why are you doing it?
I have a love, I love writing. I
hmm
enjoy writing, but I'm also a visual person too. I want to see it. So the first thing that I wanted to see it is, which was funny, is gaming. That's what I saw it as automatically, was gaming. Me and the company that did the trail, when I tell you we was going back and forth over that trail, and I got on their nerves
Wow.
because I had to review the voiceovers. I had to do a synopsis and help do the script, and
Did
I'm
you do
like,
some of the voices? Did you do the whole
no, I
voiceover?
hired
Oh,
voiceovers
okay.
for it. Yeah,
Okay.
I hired voiceover. I might do it next time because next time I'll be doing my own trailer. So that'll be a
Oh,
service that I'll be
absolutely.
offering as trailers.
Absolutely.
Um, I believe in saving money. It costs money, but you save money in the long run.
Yeah.
So
But
you
there's
you're
nothing
gonna have
wrong
to.
with hiring voiceovers if you needed a certain cadence to a certain voice for a
I'm be
certain
calling
scene.
you.
Oh yeah, you know what I mean. I'm like, yes, ma'am. You called? I would like to put a ghetto twist on this character. Yeah,
Hello.
I mean, absolutely. I really got respect for you for really doing you and making sure because you've been sticking by your guns with this for some years now. Like,
It's
and
scary.
yeah.
It's definitely scary. And when you do have people around you that are successful, it don't believe that not having successful people around you will not motivate you. Because when them mugs is like, I'm doing this at the airport,
Hmm.
like that, you like, I don't be at the airport. You're not gonna be that one friend just sitting there. You're gonna
Right.
have to get out there and get your business together.
You
So
are who you're surrounded around. I mean, that's
exactly.
just point
So
blank. If you surround yourself around successful people, I mean, yeah,
it
you're gonna have to
somewhere
get up
along the
off
way
your
it's
butt and
gonna
make
rub
something happen.
off.
Yeah,
It's gonna have to rub off.
absolutely.
And I just don't want, and I push, and I was talking to my mom about this the other day, and maybe something big is getting ready to happen because I could tell you. And I'm gonna be honest about my feelings. Daily, I've been like, should I stop? I'm like, and then in the back of my head, it's like, stop what? You got 17 books. What are you talking about? You
Right.
have 17. This is just of one series. You have 17 books. What you finna stop? You
Yeah.
asked for this. It wasn't going to be easy. So, and this is the part where it's heartache and it burns you out, but I love it. I
Yeah,
love it. I love every
that's
bit
what
of it.
art does. Art requires a lot of you. You know, having a passion for anything
Hmm.
requires a lot. It requires a lot of passion. It requires a lot of sacrifice. And you know,
Yeah.
you're always looking for the long haul. And I mean,
And that's the
I
way people
just
have to
commend
think.
you for that.
People have to think that way. I mean, I don't care what you're doing. People, folks are quick to say, stop working for McDonald's and go and do your own thing. Well, you got to build money to make work, to do what you
Yeah,
want to do. But don't forget your dream. Don't get so busy being encompassed in somebody else's dream that you forget your dream and fall asleep on it.
say it.
So, and don't get so caught up in what other people
That's what I'm
think
talking about.
until
Absolutely.
you lose yourself, because that goes back to where I told you where some of these things was like, Jesus, we talked about this, you didn't say nothing about none of this.
Right.
And you can't work, and a lot of it was too, oh Lord, my friend's gonna look at me like, oh, she need a hug, what's wrong with her?
No, say what you
My
gotta
family
say.
gonna be like, what's
Podcast is
wrong with
about
her?
go hard. It's all
And then
good.
I was like, why do I care? I don't.
Hmm.
And I care, but I don't. I really don't, because I'm like, first of all, nobody's putting in on my bills. Ain't
Right.
nobody give me $1 towards nothing. Everything that I've built thus far, ain't nobody added to it. I prayed for it. He gave it to me. I didn't understand it to the 12th book, because every book in the series, in the Chronicles of Lennox series, is a message in it. And I didn't get that in the first one. I'm like, this is just getting worse and worse, Jesus. We on book 4, and I don't see no sunshine, like, just for long term.
Hmm.
When we gonna get to like
Hmm.
the roses or whatnot? And it
You
was
can't
like
rush it. You
harsh.
couldn't rush it.
No, and it was crazy, because I'm like, I know we're gonna have some joy somewhere up in here. So
Right.
when I got towards it was between the 11th and 12th book, that's when it hit me. And that particular book, um, one of the characters' children, who becomes older, has a mental illness. And
Okay.
I actually did research on this mental illness, even though the story was coming to, because I didn't want to be incorrect. Even though it wasn't my story, I didn't want to tell it wrong. And the funny thing about it is, in the way that I was doing the story initially, when it all came down,
Hmm.
it was exactly what it was telling me for like psychiatrists. And I'm like,
Wow.
wow. So it's a particular character that she's a killer. She's a cold-blooded killer and don't care nothing about it. Now, was she raised that way? No. But there was a situation where she ended up missing, and they thought her deceased. So during this time, she went through some harsh training. She was basically broken. And during this time of her being broken,
Hmm.
her psyche broke. So you had the girl that was the teenager when she supposedly died. Then you had the character that was a child that always depended on their parents. Then you
Right.
had this one that was kind of, it wasn't an adult, but it wasn't a child either. It wasn't a teen, but it tried to reason. Then you had this one that didn't care nothing about life. All it loved to do was destroy, kill.
Wow.
It had no problem killing anything or anyone, children, nothing. It just didn't care.
It's just
And the
cold.
one,
Just cold hearted.
just cold. And the one that held them all together was called Ghost. And that character held all of them together to where it had complete control over this character. Each one wanted to get out, and you had moments where Ghost would utilize the characteristics of certain personalities in order to do what needed to be done. But then you had moments when Ghost just got tired, to where you had the child slip out in a dangerous situation that didn't understand what was going on. They just wanted to go home. So
Now, what series is that in?
that's the Chronicles of Lennox. That's book
I know that.
10.
I'm sorry, not the series, but which book is it?
This is going to be book 10. I
Okay.
have 2 books released now. Keep in mind, I finance all of this. So this is not something that I write up and I just put out. I hire editors. I contract with formatters and people that do covers. This stuff costs loot. I didn't realize how much it was
Yeah,
until I
yeah.
got into
So
it.
each book that you put out, you put in all the financing and promotions behind it, and the whole 9 yards. And you just now got with a publicist, right?
Yes, yes. Actually, what was it? I want to say I had a call with them on Monday. I think it was Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. And so I'll be coming up in a couple of magazines in
We're
the
gonna
next
see
2
you
weeks.
everywhere. We're gonna see you everywhere. Listen,
So
I just feel like, and anybody got questions, please, whoever watching, we are taking questions right now. That way we can mix it in the conversation because we only got so much time. But just listening to your story in our Wolf, and just understanding how you write, the genre that you're in, you stand out. I just feel like you're gonna be huge. I mean, I feel like you're already huge. In order to get huge, you got to already think it within yourself. You got to already know where you're going, and you know where you're going.
and
And
don't
that's
ever get stuck.
no,
Don't
no,
ever
you
get
you, you
stuck
can't you can't get stuck. And
because
and I mean, what do you got to say? And I'm not trying to make it genderfied or what have you, but
that's
what do you
fine.
got to say to black women especially, but women period? Doing something in your genre that you're doing that's a lot of male dominated. What would you say to give them confidence to, if they want to be an author, to really just stick into it and just go for it?
Get in your head that no matter what someone says, it's not going to phase you. Let me tell you, if you only knew the stuff I've been dealing with, I've learned on dealing with some professionals that, well, supposed to be professionals, that they
Hmm.
will dangle the bait of business, but when they reel you in, it's something completely different. So I've dealt with someone that I wanted to be my manager and had actually contracted him to be my manager to send me a
Hmm.
picture of him in his boxers. So I'm
Hmm.
like,
Like
these
what?
are
What
the
was that
things you,
for?
and
Like,
I
oh my
fired him, I
God.
terminated him, and
Yeah, I know immediately. Probably cussed him
he,
out too, right? I mean,
I couldn't,
stuff that you run into and you deal with, which is bull crap to me.
it wasn't even worth it because I realized he was crazy when I sent him his termination letter and he told me, well, I'm gonna review it and get it back to you after I make changes. And I was like,
That's
let me
ridiculous.
Google termination because, I know it's been a while since I've been like in a private and government sector, but let me
Hmm.
pull up terminations because last time I checked, when I terminated somebody, they didn't get to say, this is what you're firing me for. So change that right there.
Right.
This not HR. You're fired.
Hmm.
Point blank, plain and simple. I don't have time to cuss you out. I don't, I don't have time to be in your personal business. It's, as a woman, as a black woman, get in your head. I repeat, get in your head that no
Hmm.
matter what somebody say, no matter how they come at you, it doesn't matter. You're not going to fall. You're not going to break because this is
Right
your
on.
business. It's all
Yes.
about you. This is
Right.
about this is about generational wealth, not wealth for you, not wealth for your kids, not wealth for your grandkids. This is a generational wealth. So I'm not
Hmm.
building for me, my mom, my daughter's eventual kids, their kids. I'm building for down the line. So I got to break my back and cry a little bit for, stuff to be done. So just know that when you're at those points where you feel like I can't do this because I've been
Hmm.
there. I'm telling you, I've been there.
That's
I've
amazing.
I've
That's
went
amazing.
on a trip to Florida
Hmm. Hmm.
on some bull. Just don't get caught up in what anybody thinks, whether it be male or female, because it may not just come from the males now. Don't think just
Oh yeah.
it may
Absolutely.
not just come from them. So
Hmm.
be very conscious. And if you do go onto certain sites that are for business, just keep in mind Facebook and be careful. Everything on Facebook not real, just like everything on LinkedIn or IMDb or whatever is not necessarily real, or it's more to it. So don't let nobody steal what it is you're doing.
Right, right,
It's your
right, right.
business.
I mean, and that's the thing. You got to think goal, add it to goal, add it to
Mhm.
goal, and you got to think of long-term goals and let it be unlimited. You know what I
And just
mean?
build on that one. If you build on that one, because
Hmm.
I didn't see all this. I told you what my initial goal was. Jesus, can
Hmm.
I just get this one book down? That was I just wanted to see it down. And when I got it down, I was like, if I sell one book, I'll be happy. And I was like,
Right,
wait a minute. Let me take them back up. I don't want to just sell one book. Let me rewind. But
right.
I was happy because it was done. but don't expect yourself to have everything worked out as you begin with your idea.
That
Just
makes
don't
sense.
sit on your idea. Don't just sit there and just let it pass you by. And I don't believe that thing where people tell you that if you don't do it, then God to make sure somebody else will. No, what God gives to
Absolutely.
you, God gives to you. God not stingy. He don't be taking back stuff that he give just like that. So,
Hmm.
what's for you is exactly that. It's for
That's
you.
real. That's
So
real. Well,
just
we got it. Well, you know what? You give so much. The information you give are like full of gems, and we do appreciate that. We do have a question from Ragizi.
okay.
He said, well, what is it that drew you to the genre of sci-fi specifically?
Um, Growing up on it, I remember when I was little, actually I was pretty young. I was probably 4. I remember the different like Japanese shows my eldest brother, used to put on that was like
Hmm.
sci-fi. It was like this big steel man and this praying mantis like thing. And then it was with my dad watching Star Trek, Captain Kirk all the time, Bones, you know, Aurora and everybody. So I
And
got
you
into
just
Star
fell in
Trek.
love with it.
Yeah, and I kept going. And, me and my brother, we were probably, I was probably 9 and my brother was 14, and we got on punishment because we tore the door off the closet. But see, it was
Hmm.
already loose, so we didn't really do it. But we got in trouble for it. So
Right.
my dad had bought like a refrigerator, and so we stole the box and took it up into the bedroom. And I got the scissors and got the cutting and got a knife, got the cutting. My brother went inside the box, and he just started drawing like these buttons. It became a spaceship. So we created for a whole
Hilarious.
summer. We couldn't go nowhere, but we was in that box like we were out of space. We was having
Yeah.
fun.
So you was being creative and didn't even know you was getting ready for what you're doing.
Exactly. Exactly. It's
That
it's
is
just be
amazing.
creative. It's
So, I mean, like from there, you just became passionate about it and just followed comic books. I mean, to just think of how many books you've read over the years,
yes.
it's just crazy. Now, he also asks, what is the ability, what is the ability to escape reality, so to speak, and uh, divine to a new world? So, in other words, I guess what he's trying to say is, how do you escape the reality of now, life itself, and get into the world of which where you go when you start writing? You know what I mean? As opposed
Yeah.
to, even though you got all these different ideas popping from, we all have to escape.
Yeah.
How do you get to that place?
Um well, when I would write, one of the problems I have, and I noticed that I've stopped a lot of things since I put the series down, because I forced this series to stop at book 17 because I had to handle the business portion of it.
Hmm.
Um, but what brings me to that world is music. I could go and I could slip into any world. I could create
Oh, dope.
anything based on music. So it's some type of music that I know will make me slip into a certain mode, and I won't listen to that particular music. Like
Hmm.
rock and metal, disturbed, and I'm gone. Corn, I hear them, I'm somewhere else. And I can't when I need to focus, I can't listen to them because I
I
can
know. I
see the
remember I used to
scenes.
love Linkin Park, man. That was my jam. And anything that they
Yes.
did was like. So that's very. Now, do you also listen to other kind of alternative music? I mean, is
Mhm.
there any R&B come in that you be like, oh, Mary
Come
J.
on
Blige had
now.
me right last night?
Come on now. You have some Luther. You got some Luther Vandross, some
Yeah.
Teddy P. You have some, and let's bring it a little current. You do have some
Uh-huh.
Keith Sweat. You have some
Right.
Janae Aiko. You have Monica. You have Whitney. You have
Mhm.
Sade. You have it's you have pop. You have Wham. You have Boy George. You have. It's just I don't leave nobody out. If you go back over my Instagram, and I had to pull some of the videos off, but a lot of
Mhm.
the videos I would do when I was writing to force myself away would be like lip syncing. So I'm doing Tupac just because it's playing. Don't think I'm just lip syncing to it. I just
Right.
finished right into that particular music.
That is
So
so
I got
dope. That is so
Tupac, I
dope.
got Notorious B.I.G., I got Snoop, Drake. You know,
Right. So
Run
your
DMC, name it, I
catalog is
got it.
so broad. You know what I mean? Because I was hearing about the rock, so you would write to all kind of music. And actually, I've never written to music, so that's interesting. You're the first person that I've ever, because when I write, everything has to be, I have to be focused. It
Yeah.
has to be totally quiet, or I might have a waterfall that I'm listening to, or
Uh-huh.
something that's soothing like that. But wow, because
I can't do that.
hmm
I don't think I could. I could probably start off, but I couldn't stay there because I think if do you like movies?
yeah, I love movies.
You like action
Absolutely.
packed movies?
But it has to be a storyline in that action pack.
Okay, that's
You know what
fine.
I mean?
But the sound, that's what pulls me. The
Yes,
sound.
yes,
The
yes, yes.
sound brings it all
I love
together.
the music score. One thing about
Yes.
me, and my cousin got me into it years ago, where I would just watch movies and listen to the music of every scene. You know what a dun
It'll
dun
draw
dun
you. Yeah.
or whatever. Because it really makes up the whole scene.
Yeah.
It kind of drives the energy of where
It
that
gives you
scene
that
is
energy.
going.
It feeds it. It
That
feeds
makes
that
sense.
fire. So that's
Yeah.
why I can write to music because I imagine that sound like if you in part of the first book of the Chronicles of Lennox, you have a fight scene
hmm
and what I'm listening to during this scene is Linkin Park Numb and Disturbed. I'm trying to think of the song by Disturbed, but I can't think of them. But what I know, both of them was raw. So Numb got it kicking off to where you starting to build that pace, that
hmm
energy. But when
hmm
Disturbed came in, it was like it's over. You already know what's getting ready to happen. It's done. It was straight cutting, slicing, shooting, whatever had to be done was done.
That's
Everything was
dope.
being
I
annihilated.
mean, that's amazing. It's another one of my other podcasting partners that's on there. Miss Talks podcast. He said he
Stacy.
he writes the same way. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And listen to music in the whole nine yards
Yes,
because
jazz.
as you're writing, yeah, as you're writing, you have to be so particular
Mm-hmm.
explaining each scene. So it's real particular how you get through each moment.
Mm-hmm.
So for you to add music to it is amazing. I mean that's just so cool. So I mean it seems like you're in a good headspace. I mean you've been so interesting to talk to, but just to see where you at, I think this pandemic has really set us down and
Yes,
put us to a
you're
point
dead
where
right.
it yeah, and it seems like I mean you're all the way there. Would you think so? How's your mental state right now on the real?
I was in quarantine before quarantine was a thing. I was social distancing before social distancing was a thing. So I'm just not that person that I don't mind going out, but I'm just not that clever, that person that just you gonna find out there in the streets like that. You
Mm-hmm.
might find me at Walmart. You might find me at Home Depot. I'm just I was doing this before everybody had to do it, so it wasn't bothering me because
That's what's up.
I
So it
have
wasn't nothing new to you. I
no. I
mean,
think the only thing that's bothering me during this time is the news. So,
hmm
and I think that a lot of that energy from that I had to
hmm
shut off the news because that's when
all that negative
that
energy and
yeah,
all
it
that.
was
It's just
like
I
that's
can't
when the
stand
whole
it.
thing was like, do you think you need to stop? You might need to
hmm
stop. They kept going and going. I was like, I can't do that. That's too much. So
Now,
you have to
Rajeezy, I'm sorry to cut you
go
off.
ahead.
I
Go
just want to
ahead.
make sure I get it in. Rajeezy said is the
Yes.
song
Yes.
by Disturbed Down with the Sickness.
Yes.
That song has a great energy to it. Is that what it is?
Yes. Yes. And who
Oh,
does
okay.
do you know who's the one that does let the bodies hit the floor?
I don't know. Maybe Rajeezy know that because I mean, it seemed like y'all both on the same page. As far as the metal music. All I know is Tessa and Poison. Okay, remember Poison?
I
The
remember
group
Poison.
Poison. Yeah, that's all I know.
We just
Yeah.
said, don't get talking
Hold
about
on,
this stuff.
Guns and Roses. Now I can tell you about some Guns and
No,
Roses
you
hits.
didn't go.
Guns and Roses be hitting. You know what I'm saying?
Come on. Come
And I
on
mean, you
now.
know what? And another podcast. Talks podcast said, most artists
Yeah,
are introverts. Do you consider yourself an introvert? Because it seems like you're to yourself a lot. Like you're very mystique, very. It's a mystery about you. I mean, even when I talk to you, I hang up the phone. I'm like, I still don't know who the hell she is. Like all I know is your work. So, do you let people in? Do you consider yourself an open book?
no, I'm not. Um, I feel like whatever you expect to receive, the respect that you expect to receive from people, that's what I expect to. I like to laugh. I'm an introvert extrovert, so I'm both of them.
Well, actually, you seen me at a comedy show. That's how I met
I
you,
sure
remember?
did in that
I
red
tore
suit.
that room up that night,
You
boy.
did. I was
Doing the
like,
doggone thing.
I said,
No,
who
no,
is this
go
in the
ahead. I
red
just had to
suit?
throw that in there. Shameless plug. But
But
go ahead.
yeah, but I'm focused on the red suit now. I done lost myself. All I can
I
see
was
is
wearing it that night.
okay. But I'm an introvert extrovert, and I could do either one. I could be out.
Mhm.
If it's meant, I'm my daughter gets mad at me because I'm not a willing participant to anything unless it's something
Right.
that needs to be done.
Mhm.
So if we go on a vacation or something like that, in my mind, the way I feel about it is that I'm not at home. So therefore, I'm on vacation in this hotel room ordering snacks. She
Right.
doesn't see it that way. She's like, let's go and do stuff. I'm like, I don't want to.
And
And she's
who
like,
you
well,
speaking of? I'm sorry. Who are you speaking of?
that's my daughter.
Oh, your daughter. Okay, so you do
Mhm.
have a daughter. I didn't know whether you had
Yes.
kids. See, I don't know
Yes.
nothing about that. I don't know whether you got kids running around, one daughter, no kids, two
Okay.
dogs.
Yes.
I don't know nothing. All I know is your art. So yeah, that's okay. That's awesome. How old is your daughter?
She's 16.
Oh
She'll
wow,
actually be graduating this year.
that's awesome. That's
And
awesome. She
so I
graduated early.
homeschooled her while doing this. So,
That's wow. So I
yeah.
mean, to be a mother and get all this accomplished while parenting, especially during a time like now. But I'm just saying, throughout all the years, raising a daughter at that,
Mhm.
and just and really completing all 17 books
Mhm.
is simply amazing. You know what
And
I
get
mean?
ready to start the production company.
That's awesome. Well, you know I'm in on the production company.
You
Yeah,
know what's
I'm
up.
putting you
We're
on
going to have
Front
to have
Street
some
right
talks.
there. Well, I gotta say, man, N.R. Wolf, where can we find your books? Please let people know where to follow you. Where can they find you? Because you're all over Instagram, you're all over Facebook. So tell us your handles. How can we order these series as they come out so we'll know exactly? Because I got to get it. So I'm sure everybody that follows me and that supports me. I wouldn't say I don't believe in followers. I believe in people who support me.
Yes.
So, because we all leaders.
There
So
you
I
go.
just appreciate everybody taking our time out their life watching
Thank
us and
you.
the people who
Yes.
are going to be watching us later. So
Mhm.
before we wrap up, just tell everybody where they can reach you and all your handles, please, so they can order your merchandise and
You
order
can
your
go
art.
you can go to my website, www.nrwolf, that's NRWOLFE.com. And you can see the trailer there for the series. And it also has attachments to links to where you could buy the book. You could buy the books at Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Kobo, anywhere books are sold online, eBay, Walmart, Target, but it's online. You can buy it online. You can order it through your local store and they could get it in. So if you want to do it that way, you can as well. My Instagram handle, as you can see, the real NR Wolf, which is the same for my Twitter.
Which they will be following you right now.
Thank you. They will be supporting me, and I definitely will be
Absolutely.
supporting you back. I
Oh,
don't
my
do that
people, my
blind.
people are building. I have a building audience, but the people, my day ones on here, they
Uh-huh.
support. They support, and
That's
and
what
and
I saw.
you got something so interesting, and it's going to be so huge. I can't wait to work with you.
We
So just
definitely have to talk.
when will your next book be coming out? What do you have coming up next? Is the
The
next book coming out from it, or
Yes, the third book of the series of the Chronicles of Lennox series is called The Recipient Cell.
okay?
So if you want to know what the recipient cell is, Google it, and that's what it's about.
I know
So
that's right. Well, you all over Google, so I just want to thank you. You are so
thank you
impressive.
for having me. Thank you.
I'm supporting you from this day on. So
And
I
you know
just
I
want to let
got
you
you.
know.
I
Yeah,
got
I know. We're gonna be talking. So we
you.
got a
Monday
lot.
March.
We got a lot of work we doing together. So make sure that y'all support NR Wolf at the real NR Wolf on Instagram, at the real NR Wolf all over the place. This lady
At
is going
Sci-Fi
places.
Empress at Sci-Fi Empress on Facebook. My
Okay,
daughter
say
spelled
that
it
one more
Empress
time for Facebook.
On Facebook, you could either reach me up under NR Wolfe, WOLFE, or at the @ Sci-Fi Empress, SCIFIEMPRESS, because I'm not a queen, honey. I rule many lands, not just one.
So you're an empress. That's
I'm
what
an
I'm gonna do.
empress.
That's what I'm gonna now. I
You
know what
gotta
to
be an
call a
emperor.
woman
You
that
can't be a
been
king,
like, you
honey.
know what? You're an empress. That's bigger than a queen, then, right?
Exactly. It's bigger than a
Right.
king.
That's a
An
ruler of
emperor,
many lands.
empress, they have many lands.
Well, you know what? You know what? You got many projects and many books, and we are here for it. Okay. And I want to thank you for coming in.
Thank
I want to
you.
thank all y'all for joining. Stand Up at the
Thank
House,
y'all.
Stand Up Avenue,
Thank
the
you, Miss
quarantine
Talks.
edition. Everybody who stayed the whole show, thank you. Thank
I
you so much.
appreciate y'all.
We thank you. Please follow her. Please look out for her. Thanks for joining Stand Up at the House podcast. Buy her book. Buy her book. All right. I love you guys. Thanks for
The Chronicles
supporting.
of Lennox.
And we will be talking tomorrow for sure.
Yes. Yes,
And
sir.
you know, with everything that got going on, I'm just excited for you. I'm excited for what God is doing in our
Ain't he
lives.
doing it?
Thank
Ain't
you,
he doing
Jesus.
it?
You know what I mean? We're still here. That's a
Yes.
blessing.
That's a
And
blessing in
I mean,
itself.
I can't be more proud to see you, not just as a Black woman, not just as a woman, but as a humanitarian.
Thank
I
you.
really see you going so many places where people can't even recognize where you're
Thank
going
you.
right now. You can't even
Thank you.
fathom it. So, you know, I
Thank you.
speak it into your life, and we have to speak it into each other's
I
lives.
claim it.
This interview right here is going to be on YouTube. It's going to be on Instagram. It's going to have millions and millions of hits coming up because I'm going to always have you
Thank you.
as a guest. You're welcome back. And
Oh,
Rajeezy, my other podcast, Miss Talk podcast, and everybody who's been joining,
thank y'all.
you know, Nikki B, Monday Minutes just joined. Like I
Thank you
said, we
so
support
much.
each other in this podcast industry. This is every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern, and we do it big. And I really, really, to have you is an honor.
Thank
Anytime
you.
you want to come on and promote your books, we got series to do. Look for TV shows, movies. She is the new you,
Games.
y'all.
Look
Games,
for
gaming,
my
and the whole
production
nine
studio.
yards.
Look for that. Look for my production studio.
Yep, I
Because
appreciate,
that's
and
what's
you
up.
know, and you got different podcasts. Miss Talks podcast said, you know, hey, it's a good interview. Everybody learned
Thank you,
so
Miss
much from
Talks.
you. Thank you for dropping so many gems. I've been your host, Stacy Hall, and I will be talking to you soon in our Wolf. All
Thank
right,
you.
continue to be the superstar you are. Support
Just
her
like
book.
you, brother.
Buy her book. All right, it's all good. Much love. Thank y'all for joining. All right, talk to y'all soon. Stand Up at
Bye.
the House presents Stand Up Avenue podcast every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern. Okay, every Wednesday. Sorry, I got so many different things going on. It's
So
every
much.
Wednesday night at 8:30 Eastern. Okay, that's
I
because I
see.
got something going on Tuesday. So you know, kind of mix it up and intertwine, but we blowing this thing up. It's Stand Up Avenue. I do a lot at this address. All right,
That is.
so. I thank y'all, and for the Empress joining us. Is it Empress?
Sci-Fi Empress.
Sci-Fi Empress. The Sci-Fi Empress. I name you as a Sci-Fi Empress. That's how I'm going to introduce you next time.
That's
We
what's up.
have N.R. Wolf, the Sci-Fi Empress. All right. So,
That's what's
man, I
up. And
appreciate
look for
y'all.
me on New
This.
York Weekly and a couple of other magazines in the
Oh,
next 2
yeah. New
weeks.
York Weekly, the Wall Street Journal.
Mhm.
I'm going to be able to buy your stock online in a minute with your production company because, you
you
know,
gonna
we're going to be talking
you gonna
about
be part of
money.
the company. What are you
Oh,
talking about?
yes. I'm all in.
Hallelujah.
I'm all for it.
Hallelujah.
Because we got a lot of big things going on because I'm going to be talking about Money Mondays, okay? So Money Mondays is going to be coming up soon, where we're
I'm
going to be
ready.
talking about the stock market and getting into investing and flipping this money, okay?
There you go. And
Because
don't
coming
get
out of
caught
the
up in those
pandemic,
US stocks. Look
yeah,
at other countries.
we got to look at other countries too. You're right.
Mm.
You got to look at Asia. You got to look at
Mm.
Europe. You got to look